At Syracuse, New York, on the restart, Doug Wolfgang remains out front here in the Syracuse Super National. Steve Smith rides in second. Jeff Swindell, the third-place car. Bobby Weaver was running in the fourth spot and holds it on the restart.
Well, Weaver in fourth. Keith Coughlin, who was passed a few laps ago by Bobby Weaver at speed, runs in fifth position. Brad Doty, all the way from 32nd starting position, is in sixth. Kenny Jacobs, another of the Ohio drivers, runs in seventh position before this green flag. But Jacobs, to recall, had a problem on the parade lap. He's out of it. Jimmy Horton moves up to seventh. Scott Tobias now running eighth. And George Ferguson, one of the most improved drivers this season, now runs ninth. And Mike, I'll tell you, Steve Smith is not letting Wolfgang get away this time. Smith is staying within striking distance, and he may have something left to say in this race.
There are the two leaders left side of your screen. The yellow winged machine is that of Doug Wolfgang. Here comes Smith. He is hard on the hammers. He comes off turn number 4. At the start-finish line, only 6 car lengths separate them. Into one, Wolfgang kicks the backhand out. Smith tries to maintain a tighter line. The margin remains unchanged as they crane the left and right side of your screen. Halfway on the backstretch and heading for 3. We'll see who goes in deep. It is Smith closing perhaps 2 car lengths, getting into that turn. He's putting it all out.
Well, Steve Smith is electing a slightly higher line also through the corners than what Wolfgang runs. What probably is going on in Smith's mind, he's doing a little bit of experimenting. He wants to know that if he can catch Wolfgang, will he be able to pass? And the only way he'll be able to determine it is to try that higher line before he catches Doug. He goes up there, he sees how the car works, where the car is good on the track, where the car is weak, and it'll give him some information. He's going to school in the event that he's able to catch Wolfgang.
The margin remains all but unchanged. It's about 8 car lengths between the leaders as they come to the start-finish strike. Scored at 0.8 of a second. Wolfgang's lead, and on a mile track, that is not much. Smith trying to hang with him as we get a good, tight look at Doug Wolfgang. Looks like down the back straightaway, and about to kick it into turn number 3, the buildings of the New York State Fair in the background. Sideways goes Wolfgang, but still keeping that car way down low, down against the rail. He brings it off high out of turn number 4. There's Smith trying to hang right with him. The margin still 0.8 of a second, first to second spot back in turn 1.
Well, Steve Smith, who trails leader Wolfgang, we'll be looking at right now, won 3 World of Outlaw features back in its inaugural season in 1978, the first time that it was officially organized. He did not win another World of Outlaws race until this year, and he picked it the Williams Grove National. As we commented earlier, Smith has won there on a number of occasions. He was not a new face in victory lane at Williams Grove. Smith has not been one of the traveling stars. He's almost a regional driver here for the eastern part of the U.S. in terms of World of Outlaw racing. So, to a high degree, there's probably a lot of sentimentality in the stands pulling for the local driver, Steve Smith.
Smith came here last year in the car broke. Out of 40 starters, he finished 35th. Today, he's trying to change all that in the Black Bandit number 66 out of New Oxford, Pennsylvania. Working lap traffic as they move up on the outside of Randy Ford, qualified by the B main. Go around Ford and back down to the number 1 turn, and the traffic is getting very heavy ahead of leader Doug Wolfgang. If Smith can hang tight with him, this could be a break he needs. Wolfgang looks to the outside of 45 of Rodney Payne. Payne not giving him room, and here comes Smith. Smith on the charge has closed it down to 4 car lengths. Payne won't go over. Wolfgang working him over to find a way by. Puts it all the way to the outside, and still not there. Here comes Smith on the inside. Can't do it going for turn 1.
Well, there are things that you can do with a sprint car that you cannot do with any other type of racing equipment because of those huge airfoils on the top. You see how well those cars stick to the corners, and Wolfgang can flick that wheel back and forth. The sprint cars become almost as responsive as a Formula 1 Grand Prix car.
They black by Paul Klein and Rodney Payne as they move into the number 4 corner. Wolfgang trying to hold on to that lead. He knows Steve Smith is there. Tries the inside, and no. And now he comes to the outside of David Kelly's car and puts Kelly away. And Smith is having his own problems getting through the traffic. Moving up on him is Jeff Swindell, and Swindell has gone into the second spot. Smith has got caught in traffic. Very, very tight running.
Well, what's happening now is they're moving through cars that are running positions 15 through 20. Some of the top sprint car drivers in the country have just just don't have the right setup for this track for this day, and it's tough sled, I'll tell you, going against some of the best runners that the United States has to offer in the world of sprint car racing. And Smith really lost some heavy ground while he went through those slower cars.
He is back to fourth spot. Bobby Weaver has gone by Smith for third, so the order stands as Wolfgang, Jeff Swindell, Bobby Weaver, and Steve Smith. Wolfgang now trying to left line Steve Yodek's car, number 57. He puts Yodek away and goes right to work on the Grand Hogue machine, another of the consolation race qualifiers. 3 wide as Wolfgang threads the needle and gets on through there in a hurry.
Wolfgang is proving himself to be a pretty good trafficker, and you have to be a good traffic driver to run and to be successful on this circuit. There are still at least 30 cars out on the racetrack and probably around 35. The traffic is going to be heavy for Wolfgang for the rest of this race, provided we have no more cautions.
Here is Jeff Swindell on the move. Swindell has come up and taken second away from Steve Smith, the younger brother of Sammy Swindell. Now he's having his own trouble with traffic as he cuts underneath Ed Lynch. Jeff Swindell, a tough road to hoe. There's an engine letting go just ahead of him on Jack Haugenschild's car, and all of that smoke and oil, once that gets over Jeff Swindell's visor, that's going to make it very tough sledding for him. There's Haugenschild, a lot of smoke out of that car. Swindell coming up to lap him, the car on the right side of your screen, second place. Here's your leader. Doug Wolfgang has broken free of most of the race traffic. He's trying to get by Jerry Madden, who's done so easily.
Well, Mike, when you're following somebody like Haugenschild who's throwing so much smoke, you really think twice about every single move that you make, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. You don't know if Haugenschild knows what's going on. You expect that engine to let go at any time, but not only does the oil come back into your face, but also debris off it.
We will update that Dave Wickham, who brought out the last caution, is back running. And likewise, the driver that had the problem just before we broke for the fuel stop, Sammy Swindell, is back in contention, but he is shown as 2 laps down, but still running hard. We watch Doug Wolfgang, the leader, here at the Syracuse Supernational. He took over the lead when Steve Kinzer let go and has battled back and forth with Sammy Swindell until Swindell spun to a stop on lap 33. Wolfgang, the leader, Jeff Swindell in second, Bobby Weaver in the third position. Shown in the fourth spot right now, Brad Doty has come all the way from 32nd to run fourth. As we take a look at Jeff Swindell, the second place car, what a drive he's had today.
Well, Mike, today has been a good drive, particularly gratifying for Jeff. This is the car that has been running with another driver, Jimmy Green, for most of the season, and Swindell didn't even have a ride about a week ago.
He moves by the Wickham car, and let's go to the pits and Carter also.
An interesting point here with the blown engine in front of Jeff Swindell is that a lot of these drivers just finished starting the tear-offs that they wear across their shields. It's entirely possible that Jeff Swindell could be caught without an extra tear-off, which would make it difficult for him to see.
That tear-off is like a piece of saran wrap that goes over the visor on the helmet. Helps give the driver a clear field of vision. It'd be kind of like driving in rain and losing your windshield wipers. When that starts to fog up on you, it can be tough to see where you're headed. But Wolfgang does not have that problem today.
Mike, we're down to the final 5 laps of this race. Steve Smith, whom you just mentioned, running in 5th position, is in a battle with Brad Doty for 4th and 5th position. Down in 6th position continues to run Keith Kaufman. 7th is the converted modified driver Jimmy Horton. 8th is George Ferguson Jr. And moving up to 9th position, making an appearance in the top 10 for the first time, Bobby Allen, the veteran sprint car driver.
Caution is on the racetrack once again at lap 59. And in this second segment, the caution laps do not count. So there will be green flag racing only for these final 23 laps. Caution is out. They are showing 60 laps completed. And when they drop the green, according to the rules that have been issued, we will have 3 laps to go. So caution is on the speedway for the first time in this second segment. Trouble up in turn number 3, the reason for the caution flag, as Doug Wolfgang comes around, and you saw going by him Randy Ford trying to get back onto the lead lap. As we are under caution, Doug Wolfgang the leader, Jeff Swindell, who's had a tremendous drive. You see Swindell is lined up right behind the leader, and he will have a chance to track down Wolfgang on the restart. Now, they made several changes on Swindell's car. They changed tires, They were reported to be changing the rear end gearing, and Larry, whatever they did, it has been very effective.
Well, it has, and you heard Jeff mention that he felt he wasn't as fast as they should have been on the straightaways, and more often than not, what could potentially give you more speed is to change that gear ratio, and I'm sure that is the big reason for the increase in speed. Swindell's not going as fast as he would like because he's unable to catch Doug Wolfgang, but the changes that they did make look like it's going to push like it's going to put him in a pretty good position to preserve that runner-up spot here today, Mike.
Well, the attrition rate has been fairly high this afternoon. No more than 20 of the original 41 starters are still in contention with 3 laps to go. The scoreboard is holding at 60 laps, so it will be truly a sprint race when they drop the green, a 3-lap trophy dash as it will, but the trophy in this case will contain some $15,000. And Doug Wolfgang is the man in the catbird seat for the best spot to take down the lion's share of that. Oil on the track is reported to be the reason for the caution. The stewards wanted to have a look up at turns number 3 and 4 before allowing the race to continue. Someone had lost an engine and dumped oil on the speedway, and that is the reason for the caution flag. Now, even though the track is dirt, they really pound this surface down, roll it as you will, with the number of cars and support vehicles, and of course, these sprint cars end up with a surface that is very much the consistency of asphalt. It's very hard packed. So oil would produce a slippery condition just as it would on an asphalt racetrack.
Mike, if you've ever driven down a road at home in a family car that's an oiled road, that's about the closest similarity that we can come up with here to describe to you the conditions here. There is no oil laid down on this racetrack, but that's what happens on a dirt racetrack. When the sun comes out and beats down on it, it gets hard and dry and very slick on the upper surfaces.
See if we can take a look back through the field as we're watching Doug Wolfgang. He is the leader here in the Syracuse Super Nationals, car number 4, running up front as he has through most of the event. Wolfgang, the leader. Jeff Swindell is in 2nd position, riding along in the 3rd spot. Car number 20, let's come up from 23rd starting spot. That is Bobby Weaver. And the 4th place car, now it's Steve Smith, who has edged Brad Doty in that battle so far. So the Doty-Smith battle is going to be a good one.